You had all the stuff going on in Baltimore, everyone looking into Cummings. You had all of the Epstein stuff dropping, all the Nexium ties. There's so many things that they want to distract away from. And they, at this point, they've amped it up. Just like I was saying in the song, it looks like they're truly ready for war and they're desperate.
Hey friends, Sean from SGT Report here. Thank you so very much for tuning in. A shout out to my patrons and a very special thank you also to one of this channel's sponsors, Virtual Shield. You know, if you're not using a VPN by now on your desktop, tablet, or mobile device when you browse the internet, you're really exposing yourself to danger, guys. At some point, you have to get a VPN. But what is a VPN? It's a virtual private network that allows you to create a secure connection to another network over the internet. Check it out. I'll show you how this works. You can see me here on my website, thelibertymill.com. I've already installed Virtual Shield. I just go up to this little icon, the shield up there in the upper right-hand corner. I click it, and then I connect to Virtual Shield. And now you can see that my IP address says that it's coming from Chicago, Illinois. I don't live anywhere near Illinois. So that's how a VPN works. Very simple to do. Go to virtualshield.com and download the free 30-day trial and install it, then just click connect like I just showed you. This month, Virtual Shield is offering a back-to-school celebration special of 20% off all VPN plans and all premium add-ons, including Protection Plus, residential access, monthly maintenance, phone support, and VIP performance plans for as low as $3 a month. So sign up for your free 30-day trial. Protect your personal data now with a VPN. Try Virtual Shield. I'll leave the link below this video. Thank you so much for tuning in. Boy, that last video I posted didn't do very well on YouTube, and that's because they're no longer recommending my videos. Friends, do me a favor. Check out sgtreport.com directly every day. You will always see my latest 3 videos sticky posted in a video bar at the very top of sgtreport.com, so you won't miss my videos, because YouTube is doing its best to make sure that you do miss my videos, and that's very disconcerting. It's very demotivating when you put out work and people aren't seeing it. So a special thanks to my patrons who are keeping us in the game. Guys, we're going to start this one by dropping some truth from our friend Severe Anon. Check this out.
Yeah, you know who it is. Your boy Severe. That's right. Red Pill music. The deep state looks like they're ready for war. Remember that? Good, I hope you're ready for more, because this time I hit the points like never before. Dark to light, now it's time to settle the score. Sickening, the darkness we were headed for. Cannibals and pedophiles combined to pedivores. Hold on, let me take it from the top before I hit a point that you just want to make it stop. Yeah. The reality is way worse than any fiction. These people really are sick, it's an addiction. Demons to pray.
That is Severe Anon, and he joins us right now. You'll find him on Twitter at Severe Anon and on YouTube as The Real Severe. How are you, Chris?
I'm doing excellent. Thanks for having me, Sean.
Hey, man, thanks for coming on. Let's talk a little bit about what's going on with you. You're using music to wake people up, and I know that in this conversation you wanted to talk a little bit about the dark side of the music industry and what's being hidden in plain sight. But first, why don't you tell people a little bit about yourself? You're very active over on Twitter.
Yeah, I am a huge follower of Q, have been from the very beginning. I've been red pill for a long time before that, always been woke to certain things that were going on around us. I can't say, everything that I'm awake to now, but always had my eyes open and, tried to stay active in trying to wake people up also. And, I've been doing music for a long time. But I used to make, just normal, regular, everyday kind of music, kind of on the hard side, I guess you could say, but nothing ever, really too crazy. But yeah, I wanted to take the talent that I have. And Q said that, everybody that's part of this movement has something to bring to the table. You have people that are great researchers, others that are, excellent voices for the movement, and everyone has their own way that they could contribute. So this is my way, by making red pill music and trying to wake people up through music that catches their attention and really makes them listen. And so far, so good. It's doing amazingly well. A lot of people are reacting to it, getting really great reactions. So yeah, I'm just really thankful for all the support, and to you for allowing me to come on the show and get the message out there.
Yeah, it's my pleasure, man. And that track I played, it's called Rainfall. So you can tell people how they can get that, get a copy. And they're coming for us, man. And they do want war. And I'll tell you this, when you take a look at these latest, at least one of these things, I believe, was a false flag or a psyop. I guess I shouldn't call it a false flag. It was a real event, but I definitely think that there was more than one shooter involved. This shooting down there in El Paso, Texas, they can't get their stories straight, so they can't release a timeline. Have you noticed that? They tell us right away that there's one shooter, even though early on in these things, we always hear reports, eyewitness reports of multiple shooters, multiple arrests. It always comes down to one shooter, but then if you step back and take a look at it, their timeline doesn't add up. You know, that Walmart is filled with cameras. The Walmart parking lot is filled with cameras. There's street cameras, traffic light cameras. Why don't they release the footage to prove what they say is true, that there was only one lone gunman? And I think it's because they can't.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you see this time and time again. It's become just, their bread and butter. This is what they go with whenever they want to change the narrative and, just misdirect people to something else that's going on. This is just, it's become, a steady thing that they do every single time. I look at all the stuff that was going on just as this happened. You had all the stuff going on in Baltimore, everyone looking into Cummings. You had all of the Epstein stuff dropping, all the Nexium ties. There's so many things that they want to distract away from. And they, at this point, I mean, for a long time now, but they've amped it up. Just like I was saying in the song, it looks like they're truly ready for war and they're desperate. So, actual casualties and people's lives being taken from them that are just innocent, that have nothing to do with this. These people are expendable to them, and they don't think twice about orchestrating events like this. And if they did have proof on their side that went along with their allegations of the narrative that they're trying to push, of course we would see video, of course we would hear audio, you would see all this kind of stuff. But the reason they can't provide it is because it does not fit the narrative that they're trying to push. And you can see, I put up a post on Twitter the other day, I think it was yesterday actually, just quote after quote of the Mockingbird media talking points. They literally just cut and paste the same thing. And then they accuse, conservatives of trying to form a narrative. They're just projectionists. That's all they do. Everything that they're doing behind the scenes, they put onto others. It's just all diversion techniques, and it doesn't work. People are awake now, and they see right through it. So even though these events do happen, they are in fact false flags. I mean, I think that's another thing that they do. They try to take words and frame them into a certain way that if you use them what they deem incorrectly, whatever you have to say about the point becomes invalid to them. So a false flag doesn't mean that there weren't people killed, that there weren't actual casualties, and that there wasn't an event that took place. It just means that the wrong people are being blamed for it, and that the direction is being shifted. So do these events actually happen? Of course, yeah, absolutely. But do they happen organically? Are people really just going crazy and losing their mind and doing stuff like this? Not all. Not at all. I believe, this is just my theory, but I believe these people are MK Ultra. If you look into their families, there's always some kind of therapy going on. It's like a handler that's programming them, and they're just a ticking time bomb that are, they're ready to detonate on cue. So it's a very scary time that we're living in. But the good part is that people are waking up. People are seeing this for what it is, and they're calling it out. They're not staying silent. The only problem is that when you speak up against stuff like this, they attempt to silence you. So it's very hard for us to get the truth out there, but we have to keep pushing and doing, what we do, what we all bring to the table. The work that you do, spreading it, on a huge platform, it's, stuff like that is what's going to make the difference. It's what they're trying to squash. It's what they're trying to eliminate. But we just have to persevere and push on through.
Yeah, well, what's really crazy about the shooting in El Paso is before they even had given us a tally of the total dead, we could see their agenda coming into play on the mainstream media, CNN and MSNBC, and even Fox News in particular, talking about the need for gun control and how do we prevent these tragedies in the future. Before the blood had even been cleaned up, the agenda was coming into view. And you mentioned many of these shooters being handled. I don't know if you saw this, but some of the researchers over on Gab and Twitter and on the Chans have come to conclude that the suspect's father, so Patrick, what's his last name? Patrick Cassius's father, Brian, has ties to the John of God child sex cult, that Oprah
Yes,
John of
exactly.
God. So, and he's a therapist. So, I mean, literally, these stories never, ever, ever add up. And the minute you begin digging, the real questions arise. But the mainstream media at these press conferences with the cops or the police chief, the media never asks any questions. I was listening to one yesterday when I was on the treadmill at the club, and like one of the questions was, how are you and your team holding up given the, blah, blah, blah? And how are the first responders holding up when they had to encounter such gruesomeness as first responders? And they never ask the hard questions like, why did the suspect drive 600 miles? If there was one lone gunman who shot up a Walmart, how did he then escape in a car and then get apprehended in a car? Can you explain that timeline for us? Can you show us the video that vets that story out as being true? And they don't ask those questions, Chris.
No, never. And when you do ask questions like that are legitimate, just to the point questions, they do what they always do. Oh, you're a conspiracy theorist. It's like, no, I just have valid questions that if they could be answered, maybe would make me think differently about the events that are going on left and right. But since there's never anything to actually back up any of the stuff that's going on, and it never adds up, it hits a level of foolishness where it's so blatantly obvious, these things that are going on, and they're so easy to debunk at this point. And I don't think that they understand. Maybe it's not that they don't understand, but they don't care. The narcissism is just such a high level that they have no care about being exposed and just continuing to do it left and right. But the community is full of Anons, bakers, autists, diggers that just get to the bottom of stuff like this in under 30 minutes. It's insane. So at one point when they were able to pull off events like this and there was no way to fact check anything, no way to do your own research, no way to come to your own conclusion, you just had to eat whatever they were shoving down your throat. These are different times. People, even normies, are starting to wake up and just really start to look into stuff for themselves. So I think that that's why the method that Q uses is so effective. It's a Socratic method. It doesn't tell you anything. It leads you in directions that make you do your own research and put your own thoughts together and see how the map ties together. I mean, all this stuff that's going on, it's literally in one way or another all linked through a huge spider web of just like, wow, when you step back and you look at it, it's just so intricately put together, and they've invaded every aspect of daily life that the way it ties together is truly astounding. I think it's going to really surprise a lot of, I mean, even people that do the research and do the digging and know what's going on. I think it's even going to be surprising to us just how many links and ties there are between certain things. Every day, there's a new thread exposing this, exposing that. Look at this agenda. Look at how this ties with this. And it's mind-boggling. It really is. And the fact that we're in a time right now where we would have never been privy to any of this information had Hillary won and their agenda, the 16-year plan had proceeded. There's so many people who would still be fighting for the truth and have a hunger for it. But all this stuff would be totally behind closed doors. And the fact that it's not is what's allowing the Great Awakening to actually happen. And it's an incredible period of time to live in.
Yeah, it is. Well, I think more and more people are waking up, and the mainstream media, I've made this point so many times before, the mainstream media and the establishment as it pertains to the Democratic establishment, they're a paper tiger because people are fleeing them in droves because they are avowed Marxists. And if you guys want to get a really good idea of who these people are and what they want, let me play this clip. This is from a meeting of the Democratic Socialists of America. You can't make this up, guys. Not only do they want, have you seen this?
Sean, I was just going to suggest that if you're going to play a clip of what this all boils down to, please go with any clip from that meeting, because it's one of the most, it's it's almost cartoonish to watch. It's truly unbelievable.
It is. They want a nanny state, but they want a nanny state so badly that they can't even operate a meeting amongst themselves without enforcing a nanny state on each other. It's absolutely remarkable. Listen to this.
If we want to defeat capitalism, we are going to need a party that will organize working people to fight for the demands that we want and to win socialism. Thank you so much.
Quick point of privilege. Quick point of personal privilege.
Yes.
Guys, first of all, James Jackson, Sacramento, he, him. I just want to say, can we please keep the chatter to a minimum? I'm one of the people who's very, very prone to sensory overload. There's a lot of whispering and chatter going on. It's making it very difficult for me to focus. Please, can we just, I know we're all fresh and ready to go, but can we please just keep the chatter to a minimum? It's affecting my ability to focus. Thank you.
Thank you, comrade. Okay, is there a speaker against name, chapter, pronoun?
Point of personal privilege.
Yes.
Please do not use gendered language to address everyone.
Okay. I mean, literally, you're right. It's like it's like an episode of South Park. That literally will probably be on your television screens on Cartoon Network or Comedy Central, whatever channel South Park is on shortly. James from Sacramento with his personal point of privilege. He, him, he says.
First of all, James Jackson, Sacramento, he, him.
And asks everybody to just shut up. And then she says, thank you, comrade. These people are insane, man.
Oh my God. I don't know if you were showing the video. I can't see it on my end over here, but in the video, people are literally not allowed to clap. They're all sitting there doing jazz hands. It's the most awkward thing that, I mean, I don't know how you could look at these people and not say that they are insane. They've really lost the plot at this point. They can't even conduct a simple meeting amongst themselves. It's like a bunch of toddlers. They are literally like overgrown child mentality people. And I don't know how anybody could watch this and buy into this stuff. Like it's just, they're a parody of themselves at this point. It's unbelievable.
Well, they've made a parody of our country too. So that's the bottom line. When you think about how dependent these people are and how reliant they are on the state, and they want the state in everybody's business, and they want everybody's behaviors controlled by the state, you can imagine how it's really the end of a country. I mean, my God, if we were ever invaded, these people would be hiding under a chair, under a desk. These people would run into hiding so fast it would make your head spin. I mean, they're not capable of defending themselves. They're not capable of standing up for anything. They don't believe in anything. So I guess they'll fall for anything, right?
Absolutely. I mean, this is the trap that you fall into with identity politics and that they push so heavily. Eventually, there's no cohesiveness. Everybody has their own little issue in this. I don't know, in this like oppression Olympics, if you want to call it that. It's just everyone tries to outdo each other with how bizarre their little quirks can be. It's unbelievable. So the more that they do this, though, they when normies see this kind of stuff that might be moderates, kind of on the fence, don't really, lean heavily one way or the other. When they see this stuff, it's just they even realize like, wow, the left has gone really left. And this is the problem that you see when it comes to their debates. Everybody tries to out lefty each other. So that might work for you in the primaries, and it might get you the nod, to go ahead and get you through the primaries. But you bring that to a general election, you've moved yourself so far left that to just your average Joe that's not leaning one way or the other particularly, when they hear this kind of stuff, it scares them, and it will push people to the right. So all they're doing is a disservice to themselves, and it's sad because they don't even see it. I think a lot of people are just so brainwashed by the MSM, by the politicians that they follow. They are truly blind to how oblivious they're being to the reality around them. They've created their own little echo chamber, sub-universe of reality. And it's just, it doesn't fall in line with the direction that most of the country wants to go. They amplify this very small percentage of people that have really lost it and try to make it look like that's the norm, but it's really not. It's just, it's unbelievable. It's too much.
Well, the crazy part about it too is that these Democratic candidates, I saw a interview. Of course, Beto is being propped up right now because of the shooting in El Paso, so he's getting all this free press from the mainstream Mockingbird whore CIA media, and he literally said, when asked, "Do you think the president is racist?" He said, and I quote, "Jesus Christ, yes." So he takes the Lord's name in vain. These people are out of control, right? That is, what an anti-politician that guy is. What an anti-truther he is. What a piece of garbage. It's not even his real name. And if you dig in to his history, he's had some severe problems, legal issues, and that's not even his real name. He's married into a family worth, I think, several $billions, and the whole thing is a joke. And when you watch these people, when you listen to them after these events, quote unquote events, you're left to conclude, as I did when I retweeted something that you sent out. I wrote, "These people are pure evil. In their perverted Orwellian view, if you want a nation with a border security, and lawful immigration enforcement, you're a white supremacist." So I wonder, what do they call the blacks and Hispanics who want those things too? The N-word. Nationalists. And what I retweeted from you was these clowns, Cory Booker, for instance, saying the president is weak and wrong, white supremacy is not a mental illness, and guns are a tool that white supremacists use to fulfill their hate. And they all had these same talking points about white supremacists. Don't you find it fascinating that that is the George Soros terminology they're using to come after patriotic Americans? Because I'm here to tell you, there are plenty of Hispanic and Black Americans who love and cherish the Second Amendment, and they're not all supremacists. They might be nationalists. They might actually care about their country and sovereignty and not being sucked into this new world globalist Soros order, but that doesn't make them supremacists. These people are just so intellectually bankrupt, man. It's just so transparent, so obvious.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they're just mentally lazy at this point and willfully ignorant. If all the information is out there, the same way that I'm awake, the same way that you're awake, the same way that millions of us are awake, by doing their own research and actually fact-checking the people that they may have trusted at one point, it becomes so transparently obvious that all that they do, when everything is racist, nothing is racist. So they took a term that actually used to have some real push behind it, some real power, and it meant something. If you called someone a racist, you were looked at as kind of, like an outcast, because we really are all trying to get along, and that's still our movement. There's nobody, people that have woken up from what the nightmare that the left, has become is. When they wake up from that, we accept them with open arms. But you see the mentality coming from their side, where it's like, look, if you don't go 100% with the craziness that we're saying, it doesn't matter if you're a person of color, whatever it is, like we have no use for you. And they try to use these people, and once they see that they can't brainwash them and that they can't control them, they want nothing to do with them. They look at the way that they treat the Black community. These are poverty pimps everywhere that is under Democrat control and that is high minority percentage in these populations. They're completely run down to nothing. And that's not because of the people, that's because of the politicians. That these are the same people that speak up for people of color and how everyone is a racist and out to get everyone. And meanwhile, they're running their own districts into the ground. Look at Maxine Waters, look at Pelosi, look at Cummings, look at anywhere that has become not only democratically controlled, but those areas are also gun-free zones, and surprisingly have the highest amount of gun crime. So all this stuff just becomes so obvious when you see it for what it is, and that's all they do is project. That's all they have left. They can't take personal responsibility for the narratives that they push that are constantly wrong, that actually promote violence from the left. They will stay silent as Antifa goes around beating people left and right, and with pretty much no recourse most of the time. And they push for it. That not only do they not speak out against it, they actually encourage it. People like Sean King, verified accounts on Twitter, get to just speak recklessly all day about how evil white people are and, this and that, and all this garbage, all this nonsense. And all it's doing at this point, it's not actually drawing people to it. It's waking people up and pushing them away from it. And we just have to hope that enough people become awake to never fall asleep again, and to truly, I believe that once you're awake, that's it. You see it for what it is. There's no slipping back into that. So they're just exposing how crazy they've gone with it, and it's become a spectacle at this point. And it literally is. I mean, look at where the money comes from for a lot of these groups and organizations, fully Soros funded. Look at the way the AOC was put into place systematically, where she was put in to do what she's doing.
Yeah, a casting call. Let's be clear about that. She responded to a casting call. I think more than 10,000 Democrats responded,
That's
and
right.
she was literally handpicked. And she's a created candidate.
Yes, absolutely. I'm trying to think of who it was that did a really good. Mr. Reagan actually did a really good video exposing that. And if I'm not mistaken, did a second part to it,
Right?
Because there's just so much stuff to go through. But what's his name? Saikat Chakrabarti, is that his name? The one that was her.
Yeah,
one
he
of
just
the,
stepped down, right?
Exactly. Look at all the controversy, all the craziness that brought in. He was a huge part of that casting call. Like this stuff,
Right.
It's
Well, I think
just
I think that campaign is guilty of some crimes, and it, of course, won't be dug into because the House is controlled by the Democrats, the criminal Democrats. The same is true with Ilhan Omar. Married her brother. She, according to Judicial Watch, who is going after her, is guilty of evidently marriage fraud, student loan fraud, campaign fraud, tax fraud, all sorts of fraud that is more than enough to get her tossed out of Congress. And since we're on the topic of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, the created candidate, I'll read this. You shared this as well, all these people talking with these same talking points. She says, what Congress can do about exploding white supremacist terrorism, pass gun safety laws. What is WS? Name WS as terrorism in statute and more.
white supremacy.
White supremacy. Yeah, you're right, though, man. See, because she won't call out Antifa for their clear terrorist tactics, and that's what they are. They are domestic terrorists who walk around in masks, in gangs and groups, and beat the hell out of people who aren't masked at protests. And Antifa is largely white men and white females. But you'll never hear Don Lemon tell you that truth. Right? Don Lemon at CNN has gone out of his way to protect and support Antifa. These people are so morally bankrupt, man, and that's why they'll weep about video of children at the borders being held and separated from their parents, many of them, by the way, trafficked. They don't want you to know that. They're not even here with their parents. They don't want you to know that. But they'll weep and they'll tweet about the children being separated from their parents. Meanwhile, they don't give a shit. They don't care at all about the child sex trafficking Epstein was involved with. They don't talk or care at all about the Lolita Express or Bill Clinton's involvement with Jeffrey Epstein. They don't care at all about Laura Silsby being caught at the border of Haiti trying to traffic out 33 children, and the Clintons came to Laura Silsby's aid. They don't care at all about any of this, including abortion on demand in the 9th month. They don't care about those children, right? They only care about children that serve their agenda, which is open borders and endless immigration. It's absolutely pathetic. And anybody that wants a country, anybody that actually loves this country, cannot possibly vote for a Democrat.
No, you can't. Not with a good conscience. I mean, they put it on display all the time. And as they're doing everything that you just said, what do you hear from them? That conservatives are politicizing horrible events. It's just, these people are truly unbelievable. It's just projection on projection on projection. They don't care about the fact that children are literally being bought and sold to be used as pawns to be able to get across the border and trafficked here and raped on the way here. They're giving 8-year-olds contraception on the way here. They're putting them on birth control. Like, do people really not understand how sick that is? And they'd rather sweep that under the rug and accuse more than half of the country of being a bunch of racists that are running around ruining the country. It's appalling. And there's nobody that they will not use to their advantage. They used to try to use black people, the black community, to their advantage in order to garner votes. Now that they see that they can play to the illegal side, they have no use for black people anymore. They've completely tossed them to the side in order to just pander. These people are going to Mexico to stump for their campaigns. Do people not understand how sick that is? You have people like Cory Booker literally grabbing people at the border and helping them to cross illegally on camera as they're saying that. I just, dude, the rabbit hole goes so deep, and these people are they're so sick. The agenda is so blatantly obvious.
It's so anti-American. See, and that's what makes my blood boil. That's what makes your blood boil. That's what makes every right-thinking person listening to them on CNN, listening to their stupid presidential debates, which are just absolutely a goat show, a rodeo show. It's just absolutely absurd. And any right-thinking American is outraged by their talking points. Because here's another one, Elizabeth Warren, right? A proven liar. Native American, she wrote on document after document. What an absolute liar. She wrote, and remember, this is on the back of the El Paso shooting, and they will not release the video that supports the official version of that event, right? And I think it's because they can't, because all of the security video inside the Walmart and the parking lot and cameras on the streets would not provide enough evidence to support the official story. That's my opinion, but we may never know, because I bet they're not going to release the official timeline and the video that supports the official timeline. So Elizabeth Warren wrote on the back of that quote-unquote event, just like the hateful terrorism of Al-Qaeda and ISIS, domestic right-wing terrorism and white nationalism is completely incompatible with our American values. It is a threat to American safety and security, and we must not tolerate it in the United States. They are race pimps. Why does she have to say white nationalism? Why doesn't she just take out the race and say nationalism? Evidently, according to Elizabeth Warren, nationalism, loving your country and its borders and its sovereignty, is completely incompatible with our American values. Her values are not American. They're communist, they're Marxist, they're more in line with the old Soviet Union than they are with current American values, Chris. And that's why these people need to be rejected. That's why they need to be kicked out of office. That's why people need to show up in droves in 2020 and vote Republican. I broke my right-left paradigm a long time ago, but at this point it's very clear that the right is not nearly as corrupt and anti-American as the left. So there's that. Your thoughts?
Oh, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. I mean, you can never fall into the trap of, tribalism and just going with one side no matter what's going on. You have to remain objective and really look at what's going on around you. So is there shady stuff that happens on the right, on the conservative side? Sure. You know what I mean? Nobody's perfect. You're always going to have problems, and there's always going to be a few bad apples in the bunch. But you cannot compare that to what is going on their side. It just it eclipses it. It just dwarfs it by such an exponential number. It's insane. And all they do is play diversion. Don't look here, look there. Look at this that's going on. Look at that. The whole world is, white nationalist terrorists. These people have just become so completely insane. They really lost the plot so badly. And comments like what you just said, Elizabeth Warren's comment, it's just so completely out of bounds and out of line and just not in touch with reality whatsoever. That's what I was saying earlier. They just pander and try to move as far left as they can, not understanding that who they're really pandering to is a very small percentage of people, but they are trying to make that number higher through pumping it through the MSM. They make that small minority look like a majority, and they amplify it to just unbelievable levels. But this is, for the most part, this is not the real world. These are not the people that are going to be hitting the ballot box in droves to make sure that their country stays the country that they know. it's disappearing right in front of us, and people are not just going to idly stand by and watch it happen. There's too many patriots. Our voice is too loud. Even though they try to silence us and they try to censor us, that's the difference between us and them. We just keep fighting. We just keep pushing, because in the end we know this is a battle of good versus evil. This isn't left versus right. This is such a bigger picture than that. That's the very basic way to look at it, just left and right. No, this just truly has become good versus evil. There are forces in this world that really want to do damage and want to feed into the negativity. And we have to be the voices that stand up for good and fight against evil. We can't ever cower down to it. And that's the difference. We don't. We stand up to it, and we say what needs to be said, and we try to spread our messages as far and wide as we can, and wake people up to the reality that the world has become these days.
Yeah, good versus evil. I think you're 100% right. And I don't think it's a stretch at all to now talk about the music industry. Look, I don't think it's a stretch either to say that these Democrats are mostly godless. I don't know how many of the current Democratic presidential candidates are atheists or frankly Satanists, but I don't think many of them actually believe in the God of the Bible. And we can get into the weeds on that, and we don't have to. But I do think that the problem with the left, and it's the reason they won't defend life in the womb, I think that the people on the left, the reason the left is so bankrupt, morally bankrupt, is because they have rejected the 10 Commandments and the God of the Bible, and they have embraced human secularism. So it's a woman's choice to abort her baby. Anything goes. There is no right, there is no wrong. Do what you feel. And that's the problem. When you don't believe in something, you'll fall for anything. And now they're shoving this agenda, this Satanist agenda, down the throats of our kids in music videos. It's very, very blatant. I mean, it's very, very mainstream, too. I mean, Katy Perry's performance at some of these awards shows, her performances, Lady Gaga's performances, and the stuff they show in music videos is absolutely appalling. Now, you were telling me that about 10 years ago, you got a record contract, and I think you were working in New York City and trying to do your thing. So correct me if I'm wrong, but tell me just a little bit. We're running out of time here, so I don't want to take too much of your time. But tell me just a little bit about your experience in the music industry then. And is it as dark as people believe it to be?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I never went all the way with it. I was initially signed to a recording contract. There was going to be 2 albums initially to start out, and all the paperwork was set up. Everything was in place. We were pretty much locked in. And in the process of trying to get my name out there and do what they do on their end, marketing, promotion, stuff like that, they would bring me to different events, different mixers, just where everything was happening down in the city. And you hear, a lot about Hollywood and the things that go on out there. But I don't think that people realize before you even get to that level, you'll see things on your rise up through their little system that they have. It's very Illuminati. It's very step by step by step. It's very methodical. The same way that you have the steps up the pyramid, that's truly how it works. And you're exposed to different things at each level. So even the level that I had reached at that time, you start to go to these parties and things, and you're like, wow, so a lot of young people in here. You know what I mean? Like, we're in a club and there's alcohol and, obviously there's a bar and stuff. These look like really, pretty young kids, man. Like, what is this? All right. Like, what's going on? Oh yeah. No, they're not even here, on their own. They're the entertainment. Like, they're the entertainment. What are you talking about? They're like, bro, you know how it goes. I'm just looking at them clueless at this point. Like, whoa, it's crazy. Like, I can't even believe what I'm looking at. Like, the stuff wasn't going on at that time, but you could see, they were all loose and hanging out, drinking and, smoking, doing whatever everyone was doing, partying. And I caught the vibe immediately of, whoa, something's really wrong here. What is this? And then once it was kind of explained to me, like, this is part and parcel. This is, this is how it goes. I even at that point, I'm already like, you know, in my head, like, I'm not going to go any further with this. There's no way. Like, if this is how it works, I'm definitely not with it. So even if that means, you know, giving up what potentially could be fame, fortune, you know, whatever you want, none of that was anywhere near enough of a draw to pull me over to that side. I was never trying to be that kind of artist, put out that kind of energy. I truly believe that we are the energy that we put out there. So with all this negative, you know, energy being whipped up recently, you see how it feeds into these demons and they become stronger from the negative energy that's created. I'm completely against that. I'm trying to wake people up. I'm trying to make good music. I want no part of that. So
that's good. Well, that's good, man, because your soul's on the line, right? And
oh, absolutely.
And a lot of folks, a lot of people in Hollywood and the music industry are literally willing to, and many of them have sold their souls for fame and fortune. And, you know, you mentioned some of the things you saw. I just want to remind people that the Dutch banking whistleblower Ronald Bernard talked about child sacrifice and him being invited to go to one of these, I hesitate to call it a party, one of these events in which he was invited himself, I think, to sacrifice a child. That stuff sounds mind-boggling, but I want to play this clip because it really pertains to the music industry, Chris. This is the Scorpions bassist, Ralph Reicherman, a few years ago, being interviewed on the street by TMZ, telling a story that really, really spooked a lot of people. And he was talking about being at a party. Well, I'll let him say it himself. It's really
I've seen it.
Stuff.
That's a great clip, actually.
Yeah, and it's pertinent to the stuff that we're now hearing about Epstein Island and the testimony of Ronald Bernard. This stuff actually happens, folks. This is what the elites are into. Listen to this.
We got this guy, Ralph Reicherman. He's German. Not much. He was the bass player for the Scorpions.
Yes, the Scorpions! You may remember them from the 80s!
Any like German fetish parties going on later?
I don't go to fetish parties. I went to one time. I've seen really bad.
Was it like a donkey show or?
No, actually, you know, I think they actually kill people there and stuff. They pay like up to like 100,000 people to see people get
executed.
I'm not kidding.
You know, I'll pause it there because, of course, TMZ's job is to infuse humor into everything they do. So I'm not going to throw TMZ totally under the bus here because they did get the soundbite. But it is interesting to watch somebody say something so horrific as, yes, there is such thing as snuff parties, and rich people pay hundreds of thousands of dollars to go to these parties to watch people get murdered. Chris, you can't make this stuff up. You just can't make it up, and people don't want to admit it's true. I'm actually surprised that this clip ever got broadcast on TMZ. I'm surprised it wasn't buried.
Well, I believe the only reason that they did allow it is because they use their mind control techniques in the clip that you just played. You have like like kind of music in the background. You have like a laugh track. You have people talk. You know, it's all part of programming. They put stuff out there in plain sight, but they put a mask over it. It's like anytime that they put a laugh track over something that if it didn't have the laugh track, it would sound dark. It would sound really messed up. But because they throw a laugh track on it, it programs people to think, okay, when I hear things like that are of a dark nature, I'm programmed to laugh and think that it's funny. So these people know exactly what they're doing. That's the only reason that you'll ever get to see a clip like that, is because the people that are your average TMZ watcher will watch that and be like, wow, that's funny. That guy was totally joking. And it's like, no, he was being dead serious. But because of the way that they frame the clip, it looks like it's a joke. And he's being just totally honest about stuff he personally saw firsthand.
Yeah, that's right. Let's listen to the rest of it and see what else he had to say.
I went to another one where literally I saw like the grossest. I wanted to throw up.
I'll pause it there. So, you know, in that second clip, he saw some things that were so disgusting he wanted to throw up. So what was the second thing? Probably, if I had to guess, sex with kids or torturing and killing kids. I mean, I don't know, man.
A combination of the two, most likely.
It's just, I mean, you wrote in one of your songs here, you wrote in your song Rainfall, the rabbit hole goes deeper, way deeper than you know. And it really, really does. And our job, I guess, in the alternative media is to try to stay steadfast against the tyranny of the mockingbird mainstream whore CIA media, which literally lies about everything and then pays their liars like Anderson Cooper $12 million a year to lie and to cover up the truth about these mass shootings and to cover up the truth about Epstein Island and to cover up the truth about Washington, D.C. centric child sex trafficking known as Pizzagate and the global problem of the exact same thing known as pedogate. That's what we're up against, man, and that's our job in the alternative media. So I'm glad you're out there. I'm glad you're doing what you're doing, and I'm glad you're using music. At least you're using, see, that's the thing. We can all bring our own toolkit to this fight. You're using music. I've got a journalism degree, so I'm kind of going at it that way, but everybody has a voice. Everybody can get on Twitter. Everybody can get on YouTube and make videos. Unfortunately, YouTube won't let your videos be seen anymore, but we can all play a role in this great awakening, Chris.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I just feel blessed that I have a gift that I could bring to the table. That I truly, some of the comments that I get on my YouTube videos, I just want to thank everybody that supports me. You guys are amazing. I truly get comments from everything from 14-year-old kids to 75-year-old grannies that are like, I don't listen to rap. I don't like rap whatsoever. But, I really dig what you're saying, and I like the way that it comes across. And I've shared it with people. I've shared it with my grandson. Stuff like that is just amazing to me. And I try to explain to them that it's not really rap. It's kind of its own genre, and I call it red pill music. That's what I try to bring to the table. So even though it's done in a rap style, it's really a different type of music. It's not what people would normally perceive as rap. It's a totally different sound to it. Definitely a different message. I try to fight against everything that they bring to the table, and we all know what it is. Just watch any one of these videos. Watch any one of the, if you want to call them, award shows. At this point, they're like Illuminati parties. That's really all it is. These are the highest of the high in society that just join together and just do satanic rituals on stage. And that's not me saying it. Just look at what's actually going on. There's just symbolism everywhere. Q says symbolism is going to be their downfall, and I that's part of their rules of engagement, if you will. They have to show everything that they're doing in plain sight. It's just part of the rules. But the real art to them is trying to hide it while it's directly in your face. And that's what they do with music. That's what they do with the videos that go with the songs that they're making. It's just very dark, evil stuff. So I'm glad that I have a voice to speak out against it. And I'm just trying to spread it as far and wide as possible.
Well, we're glad you're out there, and I'm glad we ran into each other on Twitter and started to talk, and that you were able to come on. I think this has been a enlightening conversation, and I hope people enjoyed it. How do people support you? How do they get the song Rainfall, for instance? It's a great song. Is there any way we can support you and just buy the music?
Yes, it's actually available on my Bandcamp page. I believe it's severe.bandcamp.com/rainfall. That should be the link, but I'll shoot the link over to you. But yeah, people can make a donation there. It's $2 to purchase, a really high quality version of the song. And if people would like to donate more, that's awesome, but definitely not obligated. But I definitely do appreciate the support from anybody that would like to help me, continue making content for you guys. Because at the end of the day, that's really all I'm trying to do is take my message and my voice and spread it as far and wide as I can. So even people that just share the stuff and like it and comment it, I appreciate every single one of you guys, and definitely look forward to more Red Pill music coming on that Bandcamp page. That's where all my new music will be going. And actually there's a new song that I'll be dropping in probably the next day or two. So be sure to look out for that. And thank you again to everyone that has shown support and continues to spread the message. And Sean, thank you for having me. It's definitely been awesome getting to know you. And I look forward to staying in touch with you, man. Just keep doing the amazing work that you do. Your voice is loud and it's accurate, and it's stuff that needs to be talked about that many are scared to talk about, but you bring the hard-hitting topics to the table, and there's tons of us out there that appreciate your work. So thank you
man.
again, always.
Yeah, thank you. And shoot me that link. I'll put the link below. So you may be surprised how many songs you buy. I've got a very, very supportive audience. And let me ask you this. Have you ever done a song called Revelation? Has that been a title of any of your songs yet?
Not yet, no.
All right.
But
Well,
that sounds awesome.
Yeah, put that in your back pocket. Revelation, an act of revealing or communicating divine truth. That's why they don't want our voices heard on YouTube, because to them, to our enemies, to the enemies of freedom and humanity, truth is terror. Guys, you can follow my friend Chris on Twitter at Severe Anon and on YouTube. And the name of his YouTube channel is The Real Severe. Red Pill Music for sure. Chris, thanks so much, man.
Sean, thank you for having me, and I appreciate your support. And like I say, keep doing what you're doing, man. We love the work that you do and what you bring to the table. And just, keep it up. We need more voices like yours out there, more voices like mine, people not scared to stand up and speak the truth. And that's what this is all about.
Yeah, amen. All right, brother. Well, thanks for your time. And we're going to play this thing out with a little bit of Rainfall from @SevereAnon. Also, for those who haven't done so, download the Brave browser. It's more than twice as fast as Google Chrome, and it will not spy on you. It's absolutely free. I'll leave the link below this video. Download it, install it, and begin using the Brave browser. You'll be glad you did. And for real news 24/7, you can visit us at sgtreport.com, the antidote to corporate propaganda. God bless. Bye-bye.
Kids, and the worst part of all, they use people's compassion to organizations. The most nefarious use of their donations. They prey on kindness to fund their operations. Literally, I mean no exaggeration. CPS, Red Cross, you can take your pick. They don't protect kids, they harvest them for the rich. Remember when Q said these people are sick? Haven't had a decent night's sleep since it all clicked. No need to wonder why they push and fantasize. Planned Parenthood is a cover-up in a disguise.